It's Joel Seach here, Principal Financial Advisor of Harpel Financial Group. I wanted to give a quick update to clients both in Melbourne and abroad, just to keep you informed and update in the current situation. As always, this is just general in nature, general context, so for any personal advice about your specific situation, please, as always, don't hesitate to reach out via phone or email and touch base. And please read this disclaimer below, and also take the video in line with the disclaimer. So where are we at the moment? So obviously stage 4 restrictions for Melbourne and the broader Victoria in stage 3. All clients in Melbourne, I hope you're keeping healthy and well, and clients abroad and around Australia also, hoping keeping healthy and well, and families are also keeping well during this challenging period. I guess from a board update, I was keeping it on the news this morning, just in terms of the government debt levels. So people say, oh, how can we afford the government debt? Well, Australia, we're lucky enough as a nation, Australia, we've got very good GDP to debt ratios, so gross domestic product to debt ratios. We've got a very good credit rating as a country. We've had to borrow money to help people through this challenging period during the economy, during the COVID period, and those debts will eventually have to get paid back. But luckily, we're at very low interest rates at the moment. It's about 0.8 of a 10-year bond, 0.8% to a 10-year bond to repay that debt back. So we have good revenue income streams in Australia, and we're, as a nation, we're placed in a better position than some around the world in that regard. So yeah, just wanted to update on that. And in just a broad overview and generally speaking about the current situation and what we've gone through in the past in context as to now, and just broad terms in history over the past few decades. So it seems strange to say now, but in the future, at some point, we'll probably forget a lot of the current situation that we went through in COVID in 2020. We'll look back and think, oh, geez, that was a horrible year. But we probably won't feel the visceral feelings that we were feeling at the time and how challenging it's been. We'll remember the pandemic, and we'll definitely remember the people's lives were impacted and lost over the period, and how they were changed. We'll definitely remember the health and the social and the economic issues and consequences that have occurred during the period. But it'll almost be remembered as abstract, and we'll forget a lot of the detail and the nitty-gritty. And there's some examples I just wanted to go through of situations we've had in the past that we've been through that have been similar to from an economic standpoint or a market standpoint. So we've had market movements before like this. We've had market movements on a downturn. So the 87 market crash, the dot-com boom of the early 2000s, where the US tech index, the NASDAQ, copped a big hit and took many years to recover back again. And then more recently, and most people remember, there's the GFC that we had in 08 and 09, where the market took a big hit. I remember getting reports and emails of the finer detail at that time. There have been, some housing foreclosures and bad debt levels, and this spreading around the world, and then coming back to affect our domestic markets more specifically, and having a big decline over the next 24 or so months, and a lot of angst and worry amongst people during that period and clients alike. So the memories of the recent market hits in the GFC, they're still in the back of my mind, and they're not as strong as the feelings were at the time, but they're still there. They're more clinical now. Knowing we've gone through that event and it seemed to last. However, we eventually experienced a recovery, which sort of places those events into what I call the big picture perspective. You feel it a lot more at the time, but then you look back and you feel like, okay, well, we got through that quite well, and it wasn't as significant as we went through. The types of, events and experience we go through the world are exactly that. They're experiences that they shape our journey along the way. We have periods of ups and downs, a bit like a roller coaster, and the roller coaster that is life, essentially. The perspective allows us to take a step back and reflect on what's occurred and how, in time, things pass and we move forward, and we're able to move forward. There's also big events and events that have occurred over the past few years that have created big headlines and angst amongst people and investors alike, such as the Greek debt crisis, the Portugals and the Italys and the Spains, the pigs, I think they were called at the time, that were going to wreak havoc on the European economy, the UK Brexit, the Trump election, the Chinese trade wars, and the hard landing that we're going to have. They were going to run out of foreign exchange. All those things are worth noting, that some of these events were massive headlines at the time, and they were the main things that people were writing about and media was writing about. But it's worth noting that the severity of these events on the market were actually fairly minimal and sometimes didn't really come to fruition much at all. In comparison, the event that actually came out of nowhere and no one really saw coming was, even experts a few weeks out, was the COVID from coming into our shores in March. And the human emotional toll has been significant and definitely not to be downplayed. But from an investment perspective, as your principal advisor and financial advisor, it's my job to read between the lines and provide a path to follow during these challenging times. And if history is a guide, this too shall pass, just like the challenging periods we've gone through before and we've come out of as a prosperous nation. So things like depressions, recessions, Spanish flus, 2 world wars, numerous other conflicts, as an economy and as a nation, we've recovered both domestically here in Australia, but also around the world as well. And as humans, we're quite a resilient bunch. And even though in markets we say history is not a guide of a guarantee of future return, it can provide a pretty good indicator that we've gotten through these past events, and we'll get through this as well. The recovery, by no doubt, will be a smooth sail. It'll be bumpy. We're going to have setbacks, and at times it'll feel definitely quite grim and dark. And COVID will definitely impact our economy and will impact our lives as well. But as a group collective and as a nation, as a people, we'll get through it. The most important thing is we keep well, we keep healthy, keep our collective chins up, and reach out as you need, and we'll keep in contact and keep an eye on the overall situation and keep you informed and up to date to help hopefully steer the ship through this period of our lives. And I guess through the journey that is life. So keep well, and we look forward to hearing from you. And hopefully you got a bit out of this market update. Take care. Bye now.